Okay, here we go again, guys. This is now part 2 of the initial engine 219 response, but utilizing a Cisco load. So what we want to accomplish in this drill is no different than the one you just completed with the pre-connects. Understanding though that this is with the Cisco load, and the biggest difference that we're talking about here is the distance that you need to gain to reach the fire. Understanding that 45 meters is what you have with your pre-connects. If you need to reach that fire scene further than 45 meters, you're going to need the Cisco. So remember that. It's just another tool to use for you on the response. This is not only applies to the fire ground level attacks, this one here can apply to all your third, three-story walk-up apartment buildings. Something that you won't be able to reach with the pre-connects, you're going to need to advance the Cisco. So it's not only for big structure fires and those kind of fires. The key messaging we're trying to get across here is that if it's further than 45 meters, you're going to need the Cisco. So it doesn't matter what kind of fire you have, if you can reach with pre-connects like you did in the last evolutions, go for the pre-connects because they'll quicker, faster knockdowns. So here's what we're going to do with this scenario. So this scenario, we want you to try this out. So we got it laid out on the board again a little differently. It's the same house, same fire, and it'll be in the same place in the yard. So what we're going to do is you're going to stage the truck like we did before, but now we're going to stage the truck slightly differently because we know we're going to possibly do Cisco load. The Cisco load is going to come off the back of the truck and not the front bumper. You might want to reposition the truck just slightly ahead of the center of the house, so now you're coming off the rear of the truck. The deployment, understanding that we're going on a size up for the officer, will realize that he is going further than 45 meters, which now we're at 60 meters. To the garage fire, we know we can't reach with pre-connects. We're going to deploy the Cisco. In this case, what will happen is the officer will call for the Cisco load. The firefighters will have to pull the Cisco load off the back of the truck, advance it, advancing to the rear of the house through one side of the yard. In this case, I gave an extra little possibility of a scenario that you might have a fence on one side of the yard and you can't get through. You might have to deploy everything through the yard with the gate. So you're taking the Cisco load through the yard with the gate to the back. The key is to get the gated Y of the Cisco load to the rear of the house. So you've got full advantage of your two 45 mil lines to attack the fire. So in this scenario, we want you to stage at the street side, advance 2 lengths of 65. So when you're pulling the Cisco, you're going to be advancing 65s, 2 lengths to get the Y to the back, and then deploying your two 45 mil lines. We'll go through the scenario outside, and you'll see how it's laid out there. We also want you to do the same thing about timing. As we timed last time, how long did it take for your pre-connects to come off the front bumper to get water on the fire? And then how long did your tank supply last to put that fire out? Same scenario, same timing here as well. How long is it going to take for you to unload the Cisco and get water to the truck? Realizing that there are a few more steps, we do realize it probably will take a little longer because you have to actually now make and break your 65s in order to hook into the truck because they're not pre-connected. So we'll go through the procedures of that outside and walk you through that. Okay, we'll meet you outside. Okay, now that we're outside here, we just want to give you a brief lay of the land of how it looks like. The scenario is still the same. Your garage is your garage fire. Your house is your house with the pylons. The only difference is we wanted to make your distance away from the garage greater than 45 meters. So that's where we were before, and now we're going to move away and take the truck back a little bit further. So all we did is take your street side view basically back further. So your positioning of your truck for this exercise is going to be basically lined up with the hydrant. That's where your pylons will be there. So this will give you the distance that you need now, more than 45 meters. So unable to use pre-connects, you're going to have to deploy a Cisco, and we'll walk through that right now. Okay, now we've arrived on scene. Firefighters have come off the truck. We've done our size up. We established we do require the Cisco load. Firefighters in full gear will be ready to do the deployment. So your attack nozzle guys will deploy the Cisco load, and here they go. Randy in this case is going to be the backup firefighters and the pump operator, so he'll fill in all those extra roles. So what you can see here is that one firefighter is going to have to climb up and get the first length of the Cisco and the gated Y and pass it down to the second firefighter. Second firefighter receives it on his shoulder with the gated Y. And then the initial firefighter grabs his line and will shoulder his as well. So now what we want to do is, we know we got to go further than that. We want to get that gated Y, so now they're going to advance. The backup firefighters help support getting the lines out, as you can see with Randy here. There would also be one other firefighter to help with the movement. The two firefighters would deploy their lines, and again, you're trying to get that 65 all the way down to the back end of the house to give you the best advantage of the fire. Once they've established their location where they want their Y, it's a matter of the backup guys and the pump operator to establish the make and break on that, as you can see what's happening here with Randy and the backup firefighter. He would take the hose apart and get it ready for hooking up into the truck for flowing the water. Meanwhile, down at the other end of the fire here, we would see our guys getting their Cisco load ready for deployment onto the garage fire. Understanding you've got your Cobra loads, so they're ready to go. Firefighter acknowledges now that they need water. They're ready for the water. They signal to the pump operator, water required. They would be ready. Once the water is established, the two firefighters that hooked up the line would now travel down the line, which we don't have here today, but they would travel down the line to back up the two firefighters on the lines. Pump operator gets water to the fire, making sure our Y's open. Our Cobra load deploys. You've got a Cobra load deploys. Now you would have two backup firefighters, one going to this side of the garage, one going to that side of the garage. The time we were looking for is what time it took from the time of pulling that hose off the truck and actually deploying it and getting water on the fire. As you can see, this one took approximately 3 minutes to get water on the fire, where our pre-connects were done under 1 minute. So again, the advantage you have with pre-connects is that you get water very, very quickly and have a quick knockdown. The disadvantage with pre-connects is that you only have 45 meters to work with. In this case, we had 60 meters to get here, so we needed to make sure that we had the lines and had the support by adding the Cisco load to the fire. Now this is where we want you to, again, flow water until you have no more water in your tank supply. So again, it's that time of water onto the fire and the time it takes to use the water in the truck. So that would be your accumulated time that you would have of water on the fire. You should see that your number of water on the fire should be identical to what you are utilizing when you did the pre-connects. But the advantage of the pre-connect is that you had it there very fast, very quick. So again, it is another tool in the toolbox. It is another tool to use. Not always this is the required one. If you can get there quicker with 45s, within 45, use the 45 pre-connects. If you can't, advance to 65 like we just did here today. We did it here with 3 individuals, but you would have a full truck complement of 6, so you'd have 4 firefighters in the back, 2 to help with deploying the lines. It would probably go a little quicker, a little smoother as you move forward on that too. So again, that was the advantage of having that type of layout here. This is what we want you to do for an exercise again. Once you do the exercises again, I encourage you to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to deploy the front line as a nozzleman. Every member gets an opportunity to deploy as a nozzleman the Cisco load, so they understand how it comes off the truck, how it goes back on the truck, how you unhook it, how you advance it, understanding what it all looks like. So make sure you rotate everybody through the evolution to make sure that everybody gets good hands-on, good practical exercise of utilizing a Cisco load on a fireground attack in the future. So I will finish off asking one question here before I shut down here and these guys shut down here to pick up. What was the name of that load? The Cisco load and the hose type fold that was laying on the ground here just before they deployed it. Each one is built the same way and they're called a special name. What was that name? That's your test. That's the answer we're looking for. Hopefully you can give that answer to Joe. That'll get you through this exercise. Hope you enjoy it. We have one more to come after this to give you the deck gun capabilities of hitting it hard from the yard. Have a good evening. Have fun.